So right after Avram meets Melech Sedom, and he tells him, I'm not going to give you, I don't want to take even anything from you. And on the opposite end, we had Melchizedek, who actually gives something to Avram, he blesses Avram. Right after that, we have something famous called Berit ben Habetarim. What does that mean, Berit ben Habetarim? We see over here, Ahara Devrim Ha'ele, right after that story, Hashem tells Avram, Al tira Avram, don't worry Avram, Anochi magen lach secharecha harbe meod. I'm going to give you a lot, don't worry about it. And Avram's worried and he says, Anochi holech adiri, I don't have anything with me. So Hashem tells him, don't worry, I'm going to give you zera, I'm going to give you a seed, I'm going to give you children. And he says, ויוסע אותו החוצה לכפסוק ה' ויאמר הבט נא השמיימה וספור הכוכבים אם תוכל לספור אותם. He tells Avram, your zar'echa, your seed is going to be like the stars. הזרע שלך יהיה כמו הכוכבים. And Avram believed Hashem. And then Hashem tells him, I'm going to make a berit with you. A berit is a deal. And he tells him, take me all these different animals, and Aigla Meshuleshet, and Ez Meshuleshet, and Ayil, a Tor and Gozal. And why is it called Berit ben HaBetarim? Because Hashem tells him, Levater otam, to split them into halves. By Vater otam batarich, he put every half next to each every half, but he didn't cut the sipor in half. And what happens? What happens is now Hashem makes a tardema. He makes a very big sleep on Avram. And over here, at night now, there's a big hashecha, there's a lot of darkness. A very important pasuk. Know that your children are going to be ger. They're going to be a stranger in a land that they don't know anything about. For 400 years. We know up then they're going to Mitzrayim. And after that they're going to go out with a lot of money. And he tells him, your children are going to come into Israel. Fire and also a cloud goes through these animals that are cut in half, and Hashem officially is koret a berit. He cuts a deal with Avram. Bayomahu karat Adonai et Avram berit lemor, and he tells him all the borders of Eretz Yisrael. Lezar'acha natati et haaretz hazot. Now in the next perek, right after that story, we know that Sarah and Avram don't have any children. And Hashem just told Avram that he's going to have a lot of children. He's going to have children like the stars. He's promising them a land. And the issue is obviously he doesn't have any children. So over here, Sarai comes up with a plan. She says, listen, Hashem, Atzarani Hashem Yiledet. I can't have any children. Come sleep with my Shivha. What's her name? Hagar HaMitzrit. And they actually have a child together. First, now she's pregnant. And what happens? Sarai gets very, very upset. Sarai says, Yishpot Adonai beni ubenecha. She turns to Avram and says, Avram, I'm upset at you. Not really his fault. But she's jealous over here. And she kicks Sarai. Or Sarai actually causes her to run away. And the Malach finds her. And he tells her, what are you doing? Emi zebat, the Malach tells her, ve'ana telech, and she says, I'm running away. She says, go back to her. Very important statement, we'll read it. He tells her, Shuvi al gebitech v'it'ani tachat yadeha, go back to her. And actually, you're going to continue being oppressed and suffer under her. And he says, harba arbe etzarech. So there's Shuvi al gebitech, return to Sarai. That's one thing. Now number two is, I'm going to make your children also a lot, and also that you're pregnant and you're having a kid. And what's that kid's name? That kid's name is Yishmael, because Hashem heard your suffering. Ki shama Adonai lo niech. And what is he going to be? Pere Adam yado bakol v'yad kol bo. He's going to be like an animal, basically, a pere adam. And the name of this be'er, the well that she came to, is called Be'er Lahairoi. And Avram actually gives birth to Ishmael when he's 86 years old. Ve'Avram ben Shemonim Shana ve'Shesh Shanim Beledet Hagar Ishmael le'Avram. And now Avram has a child, Avram and Hagar, who is the Shifha of Sarai. They have a child named Yishmael. But at this point right now, Sarai and Avram don't have any child. We know eventually what's their child's name going to be. The child's name is going to be eventually is going to be Yitzhak. But as of now, Yitzhak is not born. As of now, we're focusing this perek on Avram, Hagar, and Yishmael. Good. Now the next perek. Now is where we talk about Yitzhak being born. Vahi Avram betish'im shana v'tisha shanim. So in the previous perek, Avram was how old? Avram was 86 years old. Shemonim shana v'shesh shanim. 86 when Yishmael is born. 13 years later, Avram is giving what mitzvah? What mitzvah is Avram giving? Hashem makes him a berit. The berit is going to be berit milah. Himolachem kol zachar. When Hashem gives him the berit milah, he changes his name. His name is originally Avram. He says, it's not going to be your name anymore. I'm going to change your name to Avraham. Why? Av Hamon Goyim. Av Hamon. So the Hem Mem. And you have the Aleph Bet, which is the Avraham. Av Hamon Goyim. And he says you're going to have a lot of children. Again. Vakimotiyet beriti, with who? Zar'echa, with your children. Uben zar'acha acharecha livrit olam. A berit forever. And I'm going to give them Eretz Canaan. Eretz Canaan. And what's the deal? You have to do something called berit milah. When do you do berit milah? At what age? We all know. Uben shemonat yamin. When the baby is 8 days old, that's when you get everybody. And what's the avera? What's the sin? What's the punishment you get if you don't do brit milah? It's called karet. And he also, Hashem changes Sarai's name to Sarah. So Sarai is not Sarai anymore, it's Sarah. And she's going to have a baby. And what's the baby's name going to be? Yitzhak. And what does Avraham do? Vayipol Avraham apanav Yitzhak. He says, this is funny. You think I'm going to have a baby when I'm 100 years old? And Sarah's going to have a baby when she's 90 years old? This is a joke. Hashem says, no. You're going to have a baby. Sarah's going to give birth to a baby and you call him Yitzchak. And although Yishmael is going to be a great nation, so don't worry about Yishmael, he's going to be a great nation. My berit, my special deal, that's going to keep on going, is going to be to Yitzhak, not to Yishmael. And what does Avraham do as a result? Avraham, whose name is now is Avraham, not Avram anymore. His name is Avraham. Sorry if I'm taking away the hair over here. We see over here the hair in Avraham. And now he does the Brit Milah. How old is Avraham when he does the Brit Milah? He's Tish'im Vateshal Shana. And Yishmael is 13 years old. So while Avraham gets his Brit Milah, he's 99, Yishmael is 13 years old. Who is the first child ever to get a Brit Milah at 8 days old? That's going to be Yitzhak. And we'll see that eventually in Perek Kaf Aleph. Now, right after Avraham gets Brit Milah, Rashi tells us that Avram is waiting for guests and Hashem comes to visit with the Shalosh HaAnashim. Where exactly is Avraham sitting? So Avraham here is in Eloneh Mamreh. He's waiting by the entrance of the tent, Petach HaOhel, and suddenly 3 people come. And these 3 gets a malachim, and he says, let me give you food. And he says, I'm going to give you lechem. And he ends up even making more than that. He makes ugot, he makes a bakar, he gives them him'ah, butter, and halab and milk, and the animal. And the Midrash says here too, also, a very, very, very important phrase over here. The important phrase over here is Emor me'at va'aseh harbeh. Say a little, do a lot, because he gives them more than he said he was going to. And then they say, where's Sarah? Ayeh Sarah ishtecha. So she's in the oil. She says, when we come back, you're going to have a ben, you're going to have a son. And Sarah, what do you think Sarah does when she hears this? But tishak Sarah bekiva lemor, she laughs about it. She goes, this is not possible. And Hashem tells a very awesome statement. Hayipaleh me'Adonai davar. You think Hashem is not able to do this? And Hashem is basically upset at Sarah that she left, thinking she would understand the power of Hashem. Now, the last story that we have for today is the story of Sodom. These same malachim that came to Abraham go to Sodom, and they're going to destroy Sodom. And Hashem decides, you know what? I'm going to tell Abraham about my plans to destroy Sodom. Why? Because Abraham's family is going to do justice and righteousness. Tzedakah u'mishpat. It's a very, very, very important statement in Tanakh that Abraham Avinu is going to teach his children to do good, do justice. So Hashem tells Abraham, I'm going to wipe out Sodom. And Abraham tells Hashem, Ha'af tispeh sadikim rasha. Are you going to destroy the good people with the bad people? He says, God, what are you doing? He tells Hashem, maybe there are good people in the city. Are you going to kill the Sadiqim? And Hashem says, after Abraham says, Halila lach, God forbid you should do that, Hashem says, listen, if I'm finding, and we'll use Hashem as a different color, we'll use him as the blue, Imem sabistom hamishim sadikim, if I find 50, I won't wipe them out. So then Abraham says, okay, what about 45? And Hashem says, no, I won't kill if there's 45. And then Abraham says again, what about Arba'im? What about Shiloshim? What about Ifsim? What about Asara? But there's not even found even 10 righteous people in the city. And what happens is that Hashem shows to Abraham that he's being a good God, and he's only wiping them out. Why? Because they're evil people. Because the people of the city, the good people, there's screams coming out. Hakesa akata, people screaming out about the evilness of Sodom. And we'll see in the next lesson the evilness and the bad of Sodom that is being spoken about. And that's basically it. Perek 15, Perek 16, 17, and 18.